Yeah, so I just started a new reality TV show that
Oh,
I've
good.
been binging through 2 seasons to catch up with the third on. It's Traders. I don't know if you watch Peacock at all. You've seen like the
Okay, so before we get into it, is it traders like I've just stabbed you in the back traders, or is it traders like you give me this
Traders.
and I'll give you? Okay.
Traitors. Traders.
I
Um,
figured that would have made a more compelling reality show, but you never really
you
know.
never know. Yeah, if you watch Peacock at all, you've seen like ads for Traders, and basically it's a bunch of like reality show stars. Like some of them are from like the competition reality side, and some of them are from like traditional reality side. They're all in a castle in Scotland. It's hosted by Alan Cumming, who is just like as flamboyantly eccentric as he wants to be, and his Scottish accent is out on full display. So he keeps saying murder and traitors, and it's amazing, and I love it. And I'm finally in the most recent season, so I can catch up to that. I binged 2 seasons in like 4 days.
My pitch for a reality show is two countries that trade traders and see like who ends up getting kicked out of the country, their new country first. So it's like the U.S. has a guy who is actually a double agent for Russia, while the Chinese guy on the other side was embezzling money from the CCP. And it's like, okay, so now we trade our traders and see how they fit in. Yeah.
TLC's gonna be giving you a call in like 3 days.
I will give you some of that money if this actually happens. And I will be sharing a bit of a portion of that with our listeners who are tuning in for another week of Taps. Welcome to the AHL pre-show. We are not going to be trading any traders unless I don't think there's going to be any breaking trades happening anytime soon. But I'm Andrew.
I'm D.
And we are just going to be bringing you a ton of American Hockey League chaos that's happened in the past week, and that's going to be continuing going forward. And I want to start off with, it's every now and then, there just seems to be like a fun caliber of player that comes on down to the league for a little while, and we have a unique opportunity, I think, with the Four Nations coming on by. As if it wasn't fun enough in Coachella Valley, Jordan Eberle is coming down from Seattle to get some conditioning in with the Firebirds. And for those who don't know, Eberle has been out for almost about 3 months now. He's been out since November 14th with an injury, and with the 2-week break that the league's going through with the Four Nations tournament, perfect opportunity for him to get some playing time in for some games that it's going to allow him to kind of creep back into that NHL pace. It's a great way to get back acclimated, and I'm excited. It's like I said, it's not normal that you get a player of this caliber to come down to this league at this level, and it's a great opportunity for Firebirds fans. And yeah, I'm jealous of them, honestly.
Yeah, I was at the gym and I texted Andrew in all capital letters, Eberle Firebirds. That's
Yeah,
it. That was the only
right.
context he got. I was like, yes. I was like, do you think they make it? I think they should make him the captain, just like for the time being. He's already the captain up in Seattle, so like they should just like let him be Captain Firebird for like 3 games and go from there. It's gonna be really exciting.
You'd think it would stretch like organization wide, right? Like if
Right,
he's
right,
the
right.
captain in Seattle, he should be the captain down there.
Yeah, there's some seniority or something. I don't know.
Do you think that's got to be like, how like when Mikko Rantanen wanted number 96, he had to pay Jack Roslovic like a Rolex in order to get that number. Do you think Relay has to gift like a watch to get the C? Do you
I
think
think
that's how it works?
he's like got to provide like childcare or something like in the summer. He's like, you know what? I will forfeit my vacation. I'll watch your dogs or something. I just like I don't know. You think it's not really like it's not that big of a deal. Like it's not his team, you know? It's just one of those things where like fans are gonna love it and that sweater would sell. Like you're already gonna have people lining up to buy like the handful of like Eberle Firebirds jerseys that they produce to sell in their team like boutique. And I just think adding the C patch to it would be just like mwah. It would it's like it's Jordan Eberle. Like it's Jordan freaking Eberle. It's like when Gary Price was a Laval Rocket for one game. Like it's Jordan Eberle.
That image of Carey Price and who was it, Gallagher? Were they both on assignment at the same time? And they're
Something
both
like
standing
that.
they're
Yeah.
both standing at the blue line for the anthem and wearing ball jerseys. It's just it's just like in that uncanny valley where it's like I see what I'm looking at, but it's just not making
Like
sense.
you don't believe it. You're like, there's no way. There's no way. I was so excited. I could not formulate a thought. I got the push notifications on from the AHL app, and that like new like the article from them like came across in my push notifications in the middle of like a like squats, and I was like, not a chance. I literally like went clicked through, read it, I was like, and then texted like literally 2 words, just Eberle Firebirds. Andrew was like, no way. And it was like,
And it's a real convenient timing for Jordan and the Firebirds as well, because they got over the next 2 weeks, not a week and a half, they have 5 straight home games and they're actually hosting 5 different teams. So, it's going to be, variety as opposed to, kind of what you usually see in the AHL where you just play the same team over a weekend. He doesn't have to ride the bus, which, like, good for you, King. You can kind of focus on your rehab and getting off to, back up to gameplay. But I kind of wish that he had to like ride the bus out to Ontario or something and just like, you
right,
know,
like travel with the team and like be a
right.
part of it. I do think that I like one of the things I love about somebody who is like never outside of a conditioning stint gonna see AHL ice ever again in their career. Um, going to the AHL affiliate, like one of the things I love so much about it is like all of these young players get such a golden, like an amazing, incredible opportunity to learn from somebody who also had to like rise through the ranks, who also had
Mhm.
to like work their butts off, whether or not they made the big show out of their rookie season or they fought their way up the AHL ranks. Like somebody who had to fight for his position in the show and has been stuck, sent to a few different teams before he really found his footing because like Eberle is in like the golden years of his career where he's getting older, but he's still producing and playing his game at such an elite caliber that he's got all of the wisdom. Everything he was ever going to learn about what it takes to make it, he knows now and he can pass it on. It's why he's the captain in Seattle. It's why he's a good captain in Seattle. Even on their little skids, Seattle, I think, always comes out and plays like their entire heart, leaves it all out on the ice. Yeah. So learning from a player like Eberle, and it's like you never ever think you're gonna have that opportunity, that chance, and then it's like surprise, surprise. Guess what fell 100% in our favor, and now we can get him to play instead of doing rehabilitations and practices, and then just being like thrown into NHL gameplay again.
Right.
I love it. I love it. I'm so here for it. I might like stay up and watch those games. Like,
Last little tidbits on this. The last time Eberle had played games in the American Hockey League, 2012 and 13 for the Oklahoma City Barons. Now, I was a little curious about this until I started to put the pieces together. This was during another one of Gary Bettman's famous patented trademarked lockouts. So Eberle, Taylor Hall, and Ryan Nugent Hopkins were all playing that first half of the season for the Oklahoma City Barons, and that just like, could you imagine being a OKC fan and that era? Do you even think they knew kind of what was really processing at this point, or you think they were
Like
just
what they had.
yeah, a lot of goals, a lot of points. This is fun. Who are these guys?
Right. No, for sure. Because it's one of those things too where it's like at that point in their like all respective careers, you know, they were still like very young. Like they were a couple of them were like just breaking into professional hockey, you know? So yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's like you don't like you're kind of spoiled and then like they leave and you're like, well, I think we should have maybe appreciated this more while we had it. It's one of those they don't tell you you're living in the good old days until you're out of them.
Exactly. And then last name, just because I sniped it out on here on that team, Jonathan Chichu.
Aw,
All these rising stars, 2 number 1 overall picks, and then just the biggest one-hit wonder there ever was. I love it.
Yeah.
What a squad. Continuing on, we so last week we kind of highlighted that rematch of Wilkes-Barre and the Hershey Bears after that 9-0 just drubbing from Club Penguin. So they had the rematch this week, and you know Hershey, you could tell like their pride was hurt by that last loss. And they came out on fire. Wilkes-Barre battled back all the way up until the last second, and then there was I'll say some controversy to the last one because the puck goes in, it hits Boris Kachuk up high and drops into the net with 2 seconds left. Originally called a good goal. The Stripes convene together and then wave it off. And it's a tough situation for Wilkes-Barre because, unfortunately, just the way the system is set up here in the American League, at that point, it's like it's not like they can just go to video review because for whatever reason that just doesn't exist in the American League, and so your fate is basically left up to the deliberation of the officials, and it then just kind of becomes he said, she said. Boris Kachuk said it hit his arm, it should have counted. Todd Nelson said, coach of the Bears, said that was the right call. That should have not counted. It's hard to tell on the grainy replays exactly what happened. We don't really know. I feel like in this year 2025, we probably should be a little more forward in the process here at this point, but here we are.
Right. I mean, it's one of those things. I get, they don't always go in your favor. The bounces don't always like work for you. Whatever happens, happens. But it's also like there needs to be a way to account for human error, especially in like the main feeder league for the biggest professional ice hockey league in the world. Like there's no reason. There's cameras everywhere. There's no reason why one of them isn't just feeding a tablet that the timekeepers hold on to that they can hand to officials to replay something. Even if it's not perfect, some kind of something should exist. I mean, you can challenge certain calls in the AHL. They got to be able to look at the video replay for that. The fact that there's not a video replay for a goal in the dying seconds of a game is a little bonkers. And of course, the player who had their goal taken away is going to say it was a good goal. And of course, the opposing coach is going to say it was the right call. At the end of the day, if they're not going to implement some sort of like checks and balances to account for human error, then what's the rule? It has to be like undeniable evidence to overturn a call.
Right.
So there's no undeniable evidence of the fact that it was what they called it number high sticking.
Yeah.
So if you can't prove that, you're just going to sit there and whoever has the most compelling argument. I think when in doubt, you err on the side of the benefit of the doubt to the player, in the absence of any other more foolproof methods.
Yeah. And I think I read this on the interwebs, and I think it's important to recognize, it's development not just for these players, but I mean, these officials are coming down here and being fed up into the NHL as well. He's seen a lot of, Carter Sandlack's one of my favorites that spent many years at the AHL. Now he's getting his flowers up in the big leagues. And it's, there's nothing wrong with implementing this and kind of, making sure that you get the call right. Because, everyone all thinks that the refs are out to get them and their team one way or the other and all that. But the bottom line is that it's a fast game. Things happen bang bang in the blink of an eye, and it's just needs to be something just kind of make sure you get the call on the ice right, and there's nothing wrong with going and taking a look at what the evidence provides. And it is what it is now, but I think it's overdue for a bit of an overhaul, and it's not it's not a bad
Yeah.
thing.
And like I said, I mean, if they stay adamant that they don't want to like implement any kind of video review, which for like blows my mind. Like
Mhm.
it's way too long that they've had cameras in every arena for various things. Like I don't know, if they don't want to at least err on the side of the benefit of the doubt for the player, like the call on the ice should stand. You should have some trust in your officials, your linesmen calling whether or not it's a good goal. So like you should have that level of trust there. But I mean, you got to think about it too. Like players are very outspoken against it at the end of the day because it's not only NHL players who have bonuses, conditional bonuses in their contracts. It's also AHL players, especially AHL veterans, who get, some sweeteners in their contracts. Um, or it's people on two ways who get the same kind of bonus. Like maybe not exactly the same amount of money, but you get goal bonuses at the end of the season. They are built into some AHL contracts. It's not only afforded to NHL players. And let's say a player's got one and they're short by one goal, not for lack of trying. They've beaten their almost beaten their season high, whatever. That's what triggers it. But they missed it by one, and that one was because there was a lack of video review on what would have been a good goal. But it messes with the money that players make, and AHL players do not make nearly as much money a year as NHL players, and they play in harsher markets with just as high of tax rates.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, we just want to get it right. We just want it to be confirmed right one way or the other. Last little bit, because I fell down this rabbit hole. That Oklahoma City team in
he's back
2013.
on Oklahoma
I'm
City.
back. There's a connection to this. There's a connection to this. I swear. I swear. Who do you think coached that team?
Is it Todd?
It was Todd Nelson.
Good old
I
Toddy
told you.
Nelson.
I told you it tied in. There wasn't. I wasn't just going to bring it up if it didn't. There wasn't a connection.
Is
Speaking of Todd
professional
Nelson,
hockey all connected? Are there wrench strings everywhere?
time is a flat circle. Speaking of Todd Nelson's former teams and calls getting missed, I know it's my beat and we spent a lot of time on this team, but I would be hard pressed to I just got to talk about the Griffins, because I mean, yes, there was another controversial ending on Wednesday night when, with just about 5 minutes left, there was what appeared to be very offside Thunderbird, and again, these guys are human, but they don't make the call. The puck ends up in Grand Rapids net, ends up being the game-winning goal for their fifth loss in a row. I don't even want to go. We already talked about the reviews and everything. I just want to talk about how this team was in first place all season long, and now they've scored 4 goals in 5 games, and it's not just losing, it's the way that they've lost. They just look lethargic. They look it's a lot of ugly problems from last year I'm talking like, remember in the playoffs when Grand Rapids couldn't buy a power play goal? You might not remember, but I do. And those issues have started to rear their ugly heads once again. The power play, I believe, is now like 0 for 16 over the
Ooh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So you want, I mean, like, so you can barely gain the zone on the man advantage, and 5-on-5, you're not generating enough. And here you are. And yeah, you can go all day about call ups. Yeah. Dom Shine was called up for a while. Elmer Soderblom was your X factor. He's not coming back after his showing in Detroit. That's great and all. I really don't want to hear that because everyone in this league is dealing with a call up one way or the other. Your guys on the roster gotta compete. It's hard for me not to like look at these guys who have been given so much more opportunity with those call ups that are not doing anything with it. I know it's Nate Danielson's first pro season. Guess what? Springfield's guy that they drafted with the pick right after him, Dalibor Dvorsky, is fourth in rookie scoring, and he's lighting it up with the Thunderbirds over there. It's you got your all the ice time in the world. There's no one in front of you in the depth chart. It's time to start showing why this organization showed so much faith in you. No points in 9 games is just not going to get it done. This team's got just too much talent, too many vets in the lineup with Snively and Dries and Watson to just not be scoring. Why can't they not scoring?
Well, it's clearly one of those like the problems in between the ears kind of issues, right? Because like you said, there is so much talent on the team. Um, what do you think? Like, if they could make one change to really foster that more next man up mentality, what do you think that one change, however big or however small, should be that would make the most impact on building that next man up mentality versus the victim mentality and the nothing's going our way and oh woe is me, I guess we're gonna call this season a wash.
Yeah, I mean, Gabriel Seeger is one of the few guys who's actually putting the puck in over the last couple of games. Give him a shot. He's a big body. Throw him in front of the net in the power play. Why not? I know you're looking for someone. You're not going to replace Omer Soderblom unless you pull someone off the basketball team at Michigan State who's 6'8" and can somehow skate on the ice without looking like they got the draft legs going. Give him a shot. Do something. And I don't know if this is going to be a controversial take or not, but let's stop giving the ice time to the guys who've earned it based on their draft position and start giving the ice time to the guys who are working their butts off in order to earn it.
Okay.
I think
So
that might
you think it's just like you're not getting rewarded based on like production and whatnot. So then it's like it kind of has the cascading effect. So you think just like rewarding production, changing up the line mates and the pairings and like forcing your who should be your quote unquote like top scorers to fight their way back into the top 6 and whatnot. You think like that would be enough to like wake people up?
I think it would I mean, it would send a message. And at this point, why not? The guys that you have leaned on your top 6 beforehand aren't getting it done. And I mean, yeah, it's only been it's been 5 games of losing streak. These problems have been going on for longer than that, I think, and they've been able to manage beforehand. And now it's like not everything's kind of coming to a head.
Do you
And
think that the call-ups have like exposed more of like the gaps that have been kind of held together with other people doing the work, and then now that they've had to kind of move those people around, it's like blatantly obvious that the gaps weren't actually filled, they were just kind of held together by shredded duct tape?
Yeah, and part of that is right. Amadeus Lombardi's been hurt since December. Carter Mazur's been hurt since October, and he's just kind of starting to really get the wheels out from under him. And then you lost Shine, who's the heart and soul of this team, up to Detroit for a little while. And Elmer is just irreplaceable with his skill set and just how there's no other hockey player like him that really exists out there, just because of, again, he's 6'8" before he even straps skates on. But you had these issues before of, well, we were hoping to have these guys in, and we don't have them, and they still had enough in the lineup to win games consistently. And again, it's not just a matter of they're losing. If they're out there and they're giving it, or they're getting looks on the power play, but they're just not getting it done. Okay, that's one thing. They can't even get the zone.
Right,
And
they're
then
getting like trampled.
and now there's the first game against the first goal against Springfield. You can tell they're in that sequence where nothing's working. So they're trying a blind backhand pass, and your defenseman is not in the right spot. So it goes up the middle, past the blue line. Here comes the guy out of the box, breakaway, scores. Now you're down, and here comes slumped shoulders. Like, here we go again.
I wonder if it wouldn't be beneficial to do more like obviously they're probably getting bag skated like every day. They step on the ice and they're getting bag skated. But like I think like everybody thinks, oh, your professional hockey team is struggling. You got to take like the Herb Brooks approach to like getting your team back together. But what I think that they would greatly benefit from more of, I don't remember the coach's name, but remember the prep school coach in D3, the Mighty Ducks?
Why can't I remember his name?
I don't remember his name, but he made the Ducks fight for their positions. Goldberg lost his net to Julie, and it made him a better goalie. But he didn't have nice practices, and if you couldn't get with the team mentality, Charlie Conway, you get basically kicked off the team. I wonder if they wouldn't like benefit from like a combination of that and the hockey player lasso roundup from D2, the Mighty Ducks, where maybe instead of bag skating them, maybe you let them have some fun and remember, hey, you know what? I like playing hockey with you. I do enjoy playing this sport. Seems to me like they let one mistake deflate them, which turns into a bigger mistake, which turns into 1, 2, 3 goals against, which in turn turns into some shorthanded goals against. So yeah, I wonder if they wouldn't benefit more from just like remembering that they're allowed to have fun playing hockey. Because I know they're probably like, I gotta get up and I gotta go play hockey today.
Right.
I gotta go lose today.
it like really started with that series where the Eagles came into town, and I'm sitting here like, okay, here's a good measuring stick. Here's a top team in the Pacific. You don't see very often. Let's go see what they're made of.
Right.
They proceeded to not score a single goal the whole weekend against Colorado, and really just looked. Is that the second game of the series was probably the worst game I've seen Grand Rapids play since Ben Simon was the coach there, which there was a lot of those. But I think, it's going to take a bit of a reset now. There's, a lot of season left. It's not like sky is falling type moment yet, even though you're in third place in the division after you've been in first place in the last 4 months. It's gut check time. That's really all it is. Are we going to see this team kind of rally and come together, or are they going to crumble? And I don't think they're going to crumble. I continue to believe that the coaching staff, the veteran presence, the work ethic of this team isn't going to let them just fall apart and throw the season away. But it's just tough hockey to watch right now.
No, yeah. I think the more disjointed the team is, the more they're kind of worried for their own like standings and their own production. I think the more painful it is to watch, but that's also when the team starts faring worse, because if you're so worried about, I messed up, I made this mistake, I didn't get that goal, I let them slip past me in the blue line, I didn't have my man coverage. When you start thinking about I messed up, I did this, I have to do this, then you stop thinking about your role in the bigger machine. The players are just one cog in an overall complex machine. And yeah, I think they could probably benefit from having a little bit more fun playing hockey, more fun at the rink. I think it's probably cold enough that there's some outdoor rinks, right?
Oh yeah.
So just taking the practice outside, taking practice out to an outdoor rink and like letting whatever kids are running by join in. You know, I think that's something that would help almost any team, is just taking it outside, playing on a lake, playing on a pond, playing at an ODR, the same places you would have played your pickup games as a kid, and just like kind of having some fun with it. I think you might see some smiles on some Griffins faces for the first time in a while. And yeah, I don't know. I think having some fun with it. Maybe they play broom ball on the ice instead. Like really just be kids again.
Yeah. They really need is just a mini stick tournament in the hotels after the game. It's really,
Right.
that's
Yeah,
where like real teams come
just
together.
some fun. They need some fun. They
Yeah.
need to like, I don't know, coach the kids, or they need to like run a hot dog cart on the side of, like at a rink where all the kids are playing on like a Thursday afternoon, and like open a little hot dog stand and just like have a good time around hockey and kind of start associating it with good things again. Versus, I know they're dreading waking up and being like, all right, well, how many, painful
Yeah.
drills are we running today? How many times am I going to have to hear that whistle blowing? You know?
Yeah. Well, let's hope they turn it around soon.
Well,
And
they
then
have it in them.
they do. I'm not, like I said, sky's not falling yet. They'll be fine. We're gonna take a look at the week ahead. We got just some juicy matchups coming up here. I want to start. We got tonight, Friday night, the second game of this series between Texas and Manitoba. Now, Texas lost on Wednesday, bit of a surprising result considering Manitoba is not very good, and Texas is at the top of the Central. New
But
Kings of
that's fun
Central,
hockey.
fun. That's fun. Um, that might change because as we're recording, Milwaukee's about to kick off. They're playing Springfield, who's on the road, traveled, played yesterday. Probably going to be a Milwaukee win, but I digress. You never know. That's the beauty of the game. At any rate, here's Texas a chance to kind of redeem themselves and get back into, crawl back into that number one spot. This is going to be a tight race because Grand Rapids allowed it to be a tight race, but it's going to be a tight race for the crown the rest of the way. The Griffins are up there. Texas and Milwaukee are paper thin margin. In fact, both of them as of 7-11 on Thursday night have 55 points. So you even got Chicago there at 50, who's been on fire lately, and you never know. So it's going to be every game's going to matter in this division. Doesn't matter if you're playing Milwaukee. Doesn't matter if you're playing Iowa. It's that's a not so subtle hint to the Griffins that are playing Iowa this week. But I want you to watch some good games and good hockey, so you're going to avoid that matchup.
I think it's fun
I'm
that this
just so
like
you don't.
it's so much fun that this like back and forth, like really tight, will they, won't they, who's gonna win the division race is like in the Central this season, We see so much of it coming out of the Atlantic. At this point, we're just like, it's the Atlantic. But this is like it usually the North, the Central, the Pacific. You're kind of like, all right, I bet you I could tell you who's going to be in the playoffs. But the Central has been like, somebody wanted drama, somebody wanted intrigue, somebody wanted mystery. We'll give it to you. I love it. I'm so here for it.
Yeah. I like that. I mean, it's a little. I'm gonna have to take a little bit more of this blood pressure medication because of Grand Rapids, but it does offer for a little more of the stakes down the road. And you know what? If you want to make it to the Calder Cup Finals and take the glory home, you're gonna have to battle through adversity at some point. Not everyone is the 22 Chicago Wolves to just go ahead and steamroll everyone. Like you gotta buckle in, you gotta battle. And this, if you want the crown, you got to go out and take it. So,
right, like glory can be yours for a price, and that price is your body
and your soul.
No.
See,
I don't think they sell those. No.
On Saturday, we got round 3 of this brouhaha between the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Club Penguin and the Hershey Bears. Now, this one's going to be in Club Penguin on this one, so don't get banned. But it's been a lot of like rubber banding, right? Like you got 9-0 Wilkes-Barre win, rubber bands the other side, heartbreaking loss for the Penguins. Kind of revitalized the Bears after because they went through not quite the same stretch that Grand Rapids did, but they lost 9-0. They had a couple of scares against Bridgeport of all teams,
which is incredible. Yeah, like go Islanders, honestly.
They won those games by 5-4 scores both times. You might as if you're giving up 4 goals to Bridgeport, you might as well just do that. Do you think that they walked off the ice feeling like they won those games? Like
who? The Islanders?
No, Hershey.
Oh, Hershey. Probably not. But like you have to hand it to Bridgeport. Like go off Kings. You guys suck. And you're taking it to the reigning Calder Cup champions and forcing them to fight for their points. Like go off Islanders. Like you know what? I cannot wait for their meteoric rise.
As I was contemplating for a while, like, yeah, how do these guys even get up and show up for these games at this point? And I guess they kind of, shoved it right back in my face and was like, here we go. We're going to take it to Hershey. And they had like a 3-0 lead over them at one point. And then they Bridgeport and lost, but still.
I know, but still, like, go Islanders, man.
This is a win for Bridgeport at this point.
Honestly, put it in the W column. Like, the moral W, but not the actual W. But, like, but I like it because it's like, okay, you guys found some kind of identity. They haven't sustained it, but they found some kind of identity. I mean, if you can force the reigning Calder Cup champions to like fight for their points in the standings, and it's like you have nothing to gain. You have nothing to gain from it, but you forced the reigning Calder Cup champions to fight for their lives. Like, hello, that's an identity, my guy. You're gritty. Build on that.
Yep, they can't get any victories in the standings, so you might as well take the moral victories where you can get them.
You might as well. And honestly, I know like there's a certain extent at which you can't stand for moral victories anymore. But like right now, I think Bridgeport needs any kind of win they can find. And I think they'll take it,
Yeah, absolutely. And so good on them. I hope they felt good about those. And then the last game between these two teams that are actually like fighting for playoff positions and actual stakes and not just the vibes. This last game that was in Hershey really had a very playoff feel to it. Super physical, a lot of big hits. And like I said, you could tell that Hershey's pride was hurt by getting that 9 spot smacked on them and shut up.
Slaughtered. Yeah.
Yeah. So they responded bigly. And now I want to see the Penguins kind of respond in their own way. Again, they're going to be back home in Club Penguin. So probably not going to be 9-0. Probably not going to lose on a high sticking call, but should be some drama and some intrigue for all ages involved.
Some mystery.
Exactly. We like it.
We love
and then
it.
on Saturday, this one's pretty self-explanatory. San Diego is going into Coachella Valley. And so if you want a Jordan Eberle Firebirds jersey, your window's probably, I mean, with the internet, probably going to be a little longer than that. But if you want to go to the rink and get one and then wear it while Jordan's in town, here's your first chance to do so.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, you got to assume that he's probably only going to play a couple of games and then he's going to join the team again because the Four Nations is not that long.
Right.
You know, he's going to play a few games. That he's going to go back to practicing with the team. He just needs to get his feet back underneath him. And what better way to do that than at game speed? So, yeah, you probably don't have too long to get your hands on an in-arena Eberle sweater. Get that baby signed and then frame it. And go from there.
And honestly, not a bad get up for him because, like, I remember Jake Sanderson had his ticket for Costa Rica before Quinn Hughes was deemed ineligible for the tournament, so he ended up having to go suit up for Team USA.
What happened to Quinn Hughes?
He was hurt, and so
yeah, what happened?
I don't know exactly what happened.
Oh.
I have my fantasy team, and I just have the big red like out. So. It's not, it's like, okay, you know, you're not going to like the Dominican, but it's Palm Springs, you know, this is not like a bad place to go.
Not a bad place to be at all. Highly desirable location.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
This is a good setup.
You can play some golf, Jordan. Jordan Eberle.
You think he asked for this? He was like, send me to Coachella.
He was like, actually, could I go to Coachella for a second? Listen, Jordan, you made a good choice, buddy. I support this life choice of yours. I don't know if there's other ones that I don't support in the rest of your life, but this was a really good life choice for you, buddy.
I would be doing the same thing if I was.
Yeah, you go golf, you go spa. There's like water. There's like good shopping. You know, you can get your wife something nice. Put it on your black Amex card. You know.
Yeah. Go. Right. He's got the Kraken card while the rest of the teammates are sitting there over there on the FIREBIRDS team card.
the Capital One secured credit card, and he's got just like an unlimited Amex black metal one, you know.
Yeah, he's gonna be just fine, methinks.
Oh yeah, he's gonna have a great time. I think he might actually ask for a demotion.
Like, yeah, you know what? I kind of really
like, you know what? I could be here or I could be in friggin' Seattle in an American rainforest. You know what? I've got some questions.
Give me the sunshine. Yeah. So we're gonna keep it in the Pacific because Saturday and Sunday we got Tucson at Henderson. Now, I feel like for the last 4 months of this season, I might have said Henderson's name like one time on the pod collectively.
To say they suck, yeah.
And some of it is, you know, we're trying to give our flowers all over, and you're naturally just going to head towards the top of the standings. It's a little more fun to talk about. And Henderson's been in that, and just in the bottom of the Pacific, right there with San Diego, but 8-2 in their last 10 games. I mean, they're still kind of far off from a playoff spot, but can they make this? Can they make this interesting? Tell you what, the team right in front of them, Tucson. You sweep this weekend series, and all of a sudden, you're heading into the stretch run of the season, and it's like you got legitimate stakes in every one of your games going forward.
Yeah, I mean,
As opposed to
Tucson,
Bridgeport, whose season's been done for the last 2 months.
yeah, weren't they like mathematically eliminated in like December? I don't know.
I could do the math, but I'm pretty sure that they would still be short.
Yeah, Henderson, like if they don't make it, they're gonna get close. They're gonna keep it interesting. They're gonna be fighting for that like that last spot. It's I foresee it playing out like last season's race between Belleville, Toronto, and Laval, all fighting for one spot and like going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth literally every night until it came down to one of them had one more game left to play than the other two.
I love just I mean I'm just taking a look at some of their last results. Like they swept Calgary when they came in last week.
Which
So
is fun. That
fun.
is so much fun.
Yes. Mitch McLean, like I don't know if you're familiar with Mitch McLean. I'm familiar with Mitch McLean because he's played for virtually every team in the Central except my Beats.
Mm-hmm.
They call him the Moose, right? Like he gets in fights mostly with Chicago Wolves, and he does like this moose gesture, which then everyone on Chicago started doing because they just wanted to one up him. But he had a hat trick against Calgary, right? And so like really kind of helping propel this team. He's just got this big lumberjack beard, like total hockey player kind of guy. Another goal and assist in their last game against Coachella Valley, which they also won. So this team's just on a heater right now. It's fun vibes. I like to see it, and it's for as far as I can recall, Henderson's never really kind of been in. There's just some teams, mostly San Diego out there, that can just be a little forgettable sometimes, especially when it comes to the postseason. It just either you're a one and done or you're not even making it. And I feel like Henderson's kind of unfortunately fallen into that last couple of years. You make a run, and we've seen, what the fan base right next door in Vegas is capable of. And I think that they would really get up and would love to see their baby Knights kind of giving them a run for their money. So I'm all for it. I think I'm on the Henderson bandwagon now. I think I just convinced myself.
Yeah, I think Henderson like deserves some success. What have I said every single season about Henderson is like there's no reason they should be as kind of like meh as they are. Like they've got solid players. They've got a decently well built team. They're in the Pacific, so it's like not even hard to beat San Diego. And like they shouldn't be as meh as they are. But they are, and that sucks. It's nice to see them carving out an identity separate of the Knights, and to see them like having some fun playing some hockey. And they are, and you can tell, and maybe, just maybe, Grand Rapids should hop on a little conference call with them and ask them what the heck they did last week.
Right. Yeah. What do you guys put in your soup that's making you go so much? I wish if Grand Rapids had those kind of vibes, it would be like, again, you're not necessarily the most talented, but it doesn't mean that your players are bad, and doesn't mean that you should just stop trying and stop skating. Looking at you, Bridgeport, they're making it interesting down the stretch, and that's really, unfortunate kind of the way that their season began. But if you can go and make a run for it, even if you don't make the playoffs, like no one wants to play in front of empty buildings and just don't care because your season was done and these guys are just playing their contracts out, so
I think what's fun about Henderson is that, even sh struggling, like, I don't know what it is in Coachella where they just did not have growing pains, but, you know, Henderson had some. They had some speed bumps, and they had to, like, come together, but they kinda, like, just always look like they're having a great time, and they were just happy to be included in the league. And, like, that's just I think that's the mentality you have to have, win or lose. Like, if you're winning, you don't get cocky, you're still just grateful that you can show up and play professional hockey every week, I think that's something that Henderson has always had. Because even when they lose, dang, are they spectacular to watch lose, like
That's right. It's always a fun time. And I'm just gonna go on one little tangent. Just my favorite Henderson night was Braden Patchell, and I got the chance to interview him in Laval during the All-Star game. He was the representative of the Silver Knights. Did you see the video of him mic'd up? He now plays for the Calgary Flames, talking trash to Mark Scheifele.
No?
For those of you out there who don't know, Mark Scheifele doesn't swear. So Paschal took a high stick up high, and I think initially he swore at him, and then when he realized who it was, he started calling him like a poop head and like stuff like that. And like, the awareness was 110. And then he goes to the bench, and the guys were like, "Wait, did you really call him that?" He's like, "Yeah, he doesn't
That's
swear."
so funny. I know, but, like, could you imagine being a grown man and, like, to ch to be chirped, somebody called you a poopy head? Like, that is incredible. It's like that you remember the the gum commercial? Like, where she called her a lint licker
Oh
and
yeah.
all of that? Like, it feels like that, and I love that. I need to see this video.
My last matchup for the week that I got here is on Sunday. This is going to be your area of expertise. I feel like we keep coming back to Laval. That's what happens when you're on top. But on Sunday, they're going to be playing in Rochester, who just so happens to be right up on their heels for that number one spot. Now, Laval's going to have a bit of a benefit in the schedule. It's their only game of the weekend, while Rochester is going to be coming in on a 3-on-3 and having played at home on Friday, traveling to Utica to play the Comets on Saturday, then coming back home to host the Rocket on Sunday. So they're going to be playing a lot of hockey. They're going to be on the bus. And I mean, granted, they're still up there in upstate New York, but still on the bus. And here's a chance for the Rocket to maybe can create a little bit of a buffer for them. Now, Rochester's got a couple more games there, but these are going to be the most important points of the weekend for the Americans, and obviously for Laval being their only game. Still, battle at the top of the North. I think this game is going to be a little, with that implication, there's going to be some pretty intense shifts here.
Maybe some dust ups for
Hopefully
sure.
some dust ups.
Yeah, because Laval had like a rough showing in their past like couple games. And they're tired. I think they needed the rest. They played their hearts out against Hartford for a couple of games, and then it kind of caught up to them following that. But yeah, no, Laval, Rochester, they hate each other just in general. Um,
I'm
it's
starting to feel like Laval just hates everyone.
who?
Laval.
Oh, I
Like they
mean,
hate Belleville, they hate Toronto, they hate
yeah.
Rochester.
Hmm.
Is there anyone that they like? Like I feel kind of indifferent to you. Maybe like Utica because they're at the bottom of the division.
I mean,
Or do they
no,
hate
but like
you?
they, I think they're probably indifferent to like a lot of whatever. But there's history between the Americans and the Rocket. There's playoff history between the Americans and the Rocket. Like last season. It was basically the Americans that kept them out of the playoffs because they couldn't figure out how to win against them. It's just like a whole bunch of things. It's like these are two teams that they have history. The same way they have a built-in rivalry with Providence. They have a built-in rivalry with Toronto, and to some extent, they have a built-in rivalry with Belleville. But their rivalry with Belleville comes from the fact that they entered the league at the exact same time, and then one of them did really well, and the other one was Belleville. So, it's so right, but they're still so young. The Rocket entered the league in 2018, something like that. They are not a very old team at all. They're the same age as my car. They are.
Don't call me that.
Yeah, my car is a 2018. But yeah, so it's very much they've had a lot of opportunity to make those hatreds, to grow the hatred of another team. And there's a lot of overlap between players who are still on teams that are just constantly mad at each other, and then they leave and they come back and then they're they came back to the same team and whatever. But Rochester is gritty and Laval is angry, and gritty and angry starts fires. So it's going to be fun. Sparks will fly. There will be dust ups, or none of that is going to happen. And one of the teams is going to just absolutely beat the other one into submission.
I'm going to lean towards Laval on that again because I think the schedule favors them. I think Rochester kind of, draws a bad deal, but every team gets those in this league, so it's just your number is getting called.
But is there maybe a case to be made about the rust? Is maybe are they going to be a little rusty? Where are they right now? Are they in the middle of this snowstorm that's happening where 10 inches of snow has fallen in 8 hours in the greater Montreal area? Or have they already traveled south of the border to where 10 inches of snow has fallen in the last 8 hours in New York?
Yeah, it's maybe they're just keeping in game shape by getting the old shovels out and getting out into the elements to kind of battle. We'll see.
Maybe they're practicing at outdoor rinks. Adversity breeds champions.
Right. I'm looking at you, Grand Rapids. So this should be. I think this is this. Aside from maybe that Hershey Wilkes-Barre game, it should be the
game of the weekend.
Yes,
yeah, it'll be fun. Yeah, it's two people contending for the same spot in 3 different standings rankings. So they are contending for the same spot. It's not if one of them moves up that the other one can kind of stay in position in the conference and then in the league. No, they are first and third in the league. So they are battling it out. And at this point, it's these two teams are making the playoffs short of some catastrophic disaster. These two teams are in. One of them is just looking for the favorable seeding. They are fighting for seeding right now.
Yeah, that's what this all is. It's about, playoff position. It's about sending a message down the stretch. So I have a feeling that there will be blood, but I'm not Daniel Day-Lewis, so who knows?
Oh, one of my favorite movies is a Daniel Day-Lewis movie. It's long and boring and The Last of the Mohicans.
I wouldn't call it boring.
It's boring. It's a great movie. It's a great film. It's not an entertaining movie, though. I think I have this theory that there's a difference between a film and a movie. A movie is something that you put on and it's entertaining, haha. Sure, it's an art form, but it's pretty superficial. But a film is art, It is a film. It is not a movie. Movies can be films. Films can be movies. But it is a film. It's 3 hours long, and there's an extended director's edition. So, figure it out. It's got sweeping views of supposed to be upstate New York, but it's not. And it's got great lines. Great lines like "There's a war on. How is it you're going west?" To which Daniel Day-Lewis replies, "I face north, and real sudden like I turn left." Incredible film. I love it.
10 out of 10. Give me all the awards now. Yeah, that is our week on taps. So thank you guys all for joining in, partaking in the chaos. We're going to be back next week with a recap of everything that happened and more. So I'm Drew.
And I am Dee.
Allegedly. And we'll see you guys next week.